Come in, damn it. You're sure a punctual bastard.
Welcome to the podcast at Orgy Castle. Sit back, darling, and enjoy with your hosts Derek and Paula.
What the fuck was that? I loved it.
Paula, after we finished that movie, I had to step away and take a few minutes to collect myself.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin tonight with this movie. Before we started this episode today, I mean, obviously we've been talking about it for weeks now, how excited we were to see the sequel to Touch of Her Flesh.
Oh, yeah.
And I went back and listened to our last episode with that movie to get a reminder as to what we had talked about and how to lead into this tonight. And since then, you and I both have listened to the Rialto Report interview with Roberta
Finley,
where she flat out disavows her
involvement
and cooperation in these movies. And then we watched this movie tonight. And the movie, obviously, fellow listeners, you can see by the title, is The Curse of Her Flesh, the second of the Flesh trilogy by Michael Finley.
Yes, Michael Finley.
I am so thoroughly perplexed by this experience and by this movie of what we did tonight.
So tell me about it. Where does your perplexity stem? What's going on? What's in your brain? It's very discordant. Like you said, it was the fucked up jazz that messes with your head. Like how straightforward that the last one was, and it was violent, but it was a very straightforward, very linear story that paced kind of, I don't know what you'd say, normally.
Yeah,
right?
it built. There was a crescendo that happened.
This one was very dissonant. I loved the soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack to this was spectacular. But yeah, it definitely veered from the other in tone and pacing, and it got a lot darker.
It was an ugly movie.
It was a very ugly movie. What was the name of that? Squash Hungry?
Okay, before we get too deep into this, Paula, I'm not going to be able to do this because I had a tough time following what the fuck was going on with this. You can describe to the listeners, what is the plot of The Curse of Her Flesh?
Okay, so what's his name? Jennings, our murderer from the last one, who in the last one he came in on his he was an arms dealer who came in on his wife fucking some dude. So the whole movie during the Touch of Her Flesh was him going and killing a bunch of other sex workers and then finally killing his wife, and then his wife's girlfriend kills him. So what I finally realized in this movie was that the guy whose life he's kind of trying to go around, the actor who we see at the very, very beginning in that weird stage play with the two girls getting it on, but then he's in the fallout shelter yelling and screaming about all kinds of different stuff. And I remembered when I read in the Sleazoid Express that some of those theaters housed experimental, theater troupes and did porn and did sex shows. So that kind of made sense to me, seeing how they were doing this. But that's the guy that I realized that the wife was fucking in the first scene. So since he went and destroyed everything,
the first movie, you mean?
On the first movie.
All right.
The first scene of the first movie. Yes. So then he goes about and starts trying. He realizes that this guy's going to get some sort of a huge inheritance, blah, blah, blah. And so he's going to go and kill all these women in his life who work in his company and finally make it down to killing him and cutting his dick off. That is his end goal, is killing all the people in his life who are important to him, and including his fiance, who he thinks is a virgin. And then finally killing him and cutting off his dick. That's been the whole goal since the first movie. So that was the framing.
I'm so glad you talked me through that, because the movie obviously isn't a straightforward movie whatsoever.
No, it's not. It's not a straightforward movie at all.
It doesn't. I didn't realize, I thought this was going to be like a thematic sequel because, as you said before, he dies in the first one. So I thought maybe this was just going to be like some other story of another man that was wronged by women and he's gonna go through.
Oh yeah, because at the end she shoots him with the fucking.
He's dead.
But no, he's like Mike Myers or Freddy.
Yeah, it's
or
like
something.
Jason Voorhees. He came back. They figured out how to bring him back to life.
He's your first immortal boogeyman.
So he comes back with his shitty eye patch. The movie starts in probably one of the best opening credit sequences I've ever seen in a movie.
That was so, it did set the tone for the movie.
Yeah, it's this dude walking into a bathroom
and like a porno theater
for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And the credits are on the bathroom stall etched in Sharpie marker.
Along with like all kinds of crazy ass graffiti about different people. Oh my God. Yeah. And it had Roberta Finley's aliases, both on for doing the photography and for writing the story. And Rivera, what is it? Something Anna
Eva
Rivera.
Rivera or something like that.
And Julian Marsh. Yeah, those are hers, and Michael Finley's two of their aliases that they use. But yeah, that's the ones that she used. So like we were saying in the Rialto report, do we believe Roberta Finley that she didn't work on these? Is there some reason for her obfuscation of hers, or did she forget that she did them?
Okay, so this is what I want. Why I brought it all up at the beginning of the episode here is I wanted to talk to you about this because later there is some voiceover that remarkably sounds like Roberta Finley talking.
It really, really, really does. And I've listened to the podcast twice. I'm not an expert on Roberta Finley's voice. And granted, this was 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Yeah, this was before I was born. So about 50 years ago, 68, 69. Yeah, exactly 50 years ago. But it sounded like her.
It sounded exactly like her. So do we believe her story, or does she just want to disassociate herself from these movies?
I think Roberta Finley has her own truth, and knowing what I know of Roberta Finley, that's the only fucking one that matters, okay?
So I am gonna...
What's your vote?
My vote is she had everything to do with these movies.
Okay.
I vote for she shot these things. Someone had to shoot these things because Michael Finley stars in these movies.
Yeah, he was in almost every scene. He was in the vast majority of the scenes.
He's in everything.
He's in everything.
So, I mean, she had to have shot these.
Well, he would come in and like tell her, press the button on the camera, press the button on the camera. So maybe that's what she was doing. But I think she was definitely involved.
Well, most of this movie is handheld.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a matter of just pressing the button.
And there was I really enjoyed the camera work on this. There was, some of the when they're shooting the dancers from like way down here, and what was with the $10 bills as G-strings? That was so funny. But yeah, there was a lot of very creative camera work in this, again, like with the first one. So yeah, it wasn't just go in and put the camera on the stand and press play. There was. And I remember listening to her talk about like when she shot John Holmes, and she loved doing handheld camera work. And the best thing with John Holmes is all you had to do was just go up and down the dick. That he was the easiest person to film in the world because you could just spend like 3 minutes going up and down the dick. So she is very familiar with handheld camera work. So, put some little clues together here. Maybe Roberta Finley's telling tales.
I don't want to say she's a liar, but
no, I know.
I really do think that's her speaking in this movie.
Sure she has her reasons for whatever, but that definitely sounded like her doing the VO.
Yeah,
it really did. It sounded like about a 25-30-year-old Roberta Finley, or however old she was then, doing the voiceover.
Yeah. So the movie itself proper plays out. Well, at least the first quarter of it, I didn't quite understand what was going on, mostly because it's like this avant-garde stage play.
Yeah.
For the first like 15, 20 minutes of this movie, where it's mostly women on a stage shaking. It looks like a stage, but we're not told it's a stage. And there's no real plot. There's nothing going on. There's a guy sitting there just spouting poetry, and it just like...
Yeah, it was very beatnik. It was very beatnik 1968 experimental sex theater, with him doing whatever, sitting there with the fallout shelter shit. And so, it was some sort of like goofy, low rent experimental theater from, Times Square in New York in 1968 with the sex show going on. So yeah, it was very confusing. But they'd go from him and you'd be like, what the fuck is this dude doing? And then they'd show these two beautiful women over here looking like they're going to get it on. So you can make it through the weird thing with the dude because you know in a second they're going to flash back over to the hot chicks. So the pacing was good on that because we don't really want to look at the dude. We want to see what the ladies are doing. And they kept going back and forth between them. And it was a weird scene with them too. I mean, it was, yeah. It
Arguably
was,
every scene was a weird scene.
Every scene was very weird. There were flashes of David Lynch in here, some funky, crazy shots, the projection of the, you know, the amoeba or the watery looking waves onto the bodies. There was that crazy whipping scene. I mean, there was a lot more. There was a lot of girl on girl action in this one. And that was one of the things that he mentioned. There was that one chick in this who was really good. She played Stella, the lesbian, who went over to the woman's house when he sent her. And yeah, but she really dug on chicks. And
the scene where he sent her over there saying, do you know what a dildo is?
Right. Every girl's best friend. But she was actually a good actress. She was just only in that center section of the movie. She was one of the workers in the sex club where Steve was. And she had some good scenes. And so, of course, then Jennings was going around and he'd done this to one of the girls who was in the original scene before he killed her with the poison on the cat's paw.
Yeah.
And of course, just Angelique and I are like, don't you dare fuck up that cat. Don't do it. But he was the owner of the club. But at the beginning, he was also he put on his beard and was the janitor of the club.
Michael, let's talk about Michael Finley.
Yeah, let's talk about Michael Finley. I think his Roberta Finley said that if he didn't make movies, he would have been killing people. He was a psychopath who, instead of killing people, just made fucking movies. And I love his creative methods for killing people. And then the fact that he, at the age of 39, died by having a rogue helicopter blade decapitate him. It was just the most fitting shit I've ever read. And that article that you posted on our page, by the way, go like our page on Facebook. But yeah, I mean, he loves coming up with creative and bizarre ways to kill people. And the last one, it was weapons. He did a poison rose, didn't he? He did a poison rose in the last one. But in this one, it was primarily poison, except for the girl's best friend scene, which I think they also said was poison. So I don't know. I don't know. Michael
there was
Finley,
a lot of him poisoning things that would then either go into bodies via cuts or via
G-strings with their secretions.
Oh my gosh, I'm so like at a loss for words for this movie.
It was nuts. It was nuts. Michael Finley going from gluing on the stuff and talking to the dude like he's the janitor downstairs and cleaning the toilets, and then the next thing you know, we see him and he's all clean cut with the eye patch, and he's talking to one of the dancers at the bar who had been in the scene, and they end up going back to her place, and he wants to get information about Steve from her, and Steve's with the other chick in the scene. And when she's not looking, she goes in to slip into something more comfortable, and he gets her a scotch, right? And he goes and puts poison on the cat's paw. And of course, like I said, Angelique and I are like, no. And then she comes back in and kind of gives him some info about Steve. And so when I realized what was going on in the movie, that's when I realized it's like, okay, this is all about getting back at Steve, and he's killing her to get at Steve and whatnot. And then the next thing we see is her on the bed with the cat in her crotch. And him talking about the pussy.
Extended scene where he's like, so nice little pussy you have there. And she's like, thank you. Everyone that sees my pussy likes it. And he goes, is it friendly? Oh yeah, I play with it for hours. And this goes on and on and on.
Sometimes the girl next door brings her pussy over and we put them together. Yeah, and this went on. I mean, these scenes of just weirdness with great music always that worked with what was the weirdness that was going on the stream would go on. And then the next thing you know, he's fucking with her cat pussy, and the cat scratches her, and she stands up and goes, "You get out of here. I want you to leave." And he's like, "Gladly." And then she falls over and dies. And so that's our first death. One of the things in the first movie, I think, that the deaths were more focused on. And it was more of a consistent pattern. And it was really the deaths that were focused on. In this, it was more the sex scenes. There were a lot of sex scenes in this, and there were a few murders, but they weren't really the focal points like kind of the last one was with the way that the women were getting killed, and that they dance and dance and dance and then they get killed. And you kind of like waiting to see how's he going to do it next. But with this one, it was, like I said, the pacing was very different. And while there were a few really great, creative, strange dildo murders in there, it just like I said, it just had a very, very different feel. There was a lot more sex. Granted, it was 1968, something weird, Finley, sex. It was never anything that was actually completed. It was insinuated, and there was a lot of groping and a lot of lingerie and a lot of booties and titties and a lot of women with each other and a lot of kind of S&M and weird shit. Weirder than the last, which was mostly just go-go dancers. And this one actually had some pieces that were very dark in nature, like the one woman whipping the other, Stella, the one who was the really, really good actress, whipping the other chick in a very extended whipping scene, and then ends up just like in Images from a Convent, going over and licking her wounds. And so, I mean, that stretched on for a while, and then he sends her to go do the dildo thing. And I mean, so yeah, it was usually there was a chick would dance and then she die, a chick would dance and then she died, a chick would dance and then she die, and this was a lot more complicated,
far more experimental in tone and in structure. There definitely was, you could tell there was some madness behind the camera and behind the making of this movie that changed the tone of this.
Well, Finley on screen is just unhinged. I mean, he is just he's a big man. Mm-hmm. And of course they put him next to small women, so that makes him seem even bigger. But he's in this so much, and unlike kind of being more in the background in the first one, he's really up front and center in this one and interacting with the characters a lot more. And you can just tell he's fucking crazy.
He's soaking it up. He's really like the rest of the actors in this film aren't really playing it for laughs, and he's hamming it up the entire time.
Oh, he's a nut job. I thought he and Stella worked really well together, or whoever the chick was. She was actually a good actress. I've said that like 9 times, but it's always stunning to see someone in one of these movies who's actually like, you could have done better.
I agree.
you're really not a bad actress. You're actually pulling this off, and it's not just the plastic blue bead shining like a sapphire in the pile of shit. You're actually pretty fucking good. And so her scenes with Jennings, I really enjoyed because they played off of each other, and there was actually some chemistry and some interaction, and she wasn't taking anybody's shit. And,
right.
And they had their weird little sex scene that they did, and then he sent her off. But their interactions, I thought, were actually entertaining because he was so over the top, and she was so good at what she was doing.
Yeah,
so,
she was keeping it pretty straight.
She was actually performing really well. I thought she was good. So she gets the Golden Jackalman for Best Actress.
Oh, is this like our awards? Like the Oscars of podcast at Orgy Castle is the Golden Jackalman?
Oh, could it be the Golden Jackalman or the Golden Orgy? I don't know. Yeah, I just made it up. It's her award.
This podcast just keeps evolving.
Yeah,
and evolving.
I just made that shit up. Whatever.
Well, good. But, I like it.
But no, I thought she was really good, and there was so much. It was just so weird. She goes and she has sex with the woman. What was up with the toes? What the fuck was up with that chick with the toes?
Okay, so yeah, you're referring to a scene where Michael Finley sends her off because she makes reference to, hey, I've shown you all what I have, but I'd like to see what you have, and attempts to take off his eye patch. And he gets pissed. Yep. He's not having anything to do with that, and he promptly gets up like a scorned, entitled white guy.
There you go.
And stomps off.
He has a tantrum, basically, like an entitled white guy. Yeah, tantrum.
And it's just like, okay, well, you're going to go do this for me, so go to this address. And that's where we get the famous, do you know what a dildo is line? And sends her over to this beautiful woman's apartment, and they proceed to have like a bathtub scene with toes.
She knocks on her door and says to the woman, can I use your phone? I've locked my keys I would lock myself out of my apartment, which was a ruse. Yeah. And the gal has her to come in and goes, I was just going to go take a bath. So everyone in the rabbit room's like, bath time, you know?
You know where this is going.
And so she goes in the bath, and the next we see Stella come in with two drinks, and then Stella's in the tub and then saying something about how gratifying the woman's toes are. And what does the woman say? Something about how she said women tell her toes are better than a man. And we were all like, And then I think there was a conversation about shrimping.
Shrimping came into the conversation for sure.
Yeah, so there was that. So they had the tub scene, and then they get out.
Then we go to the whipping scene, and then from that point on, for me, the movie kind of lost me. The first half, I was coasting along on it because it is just so avant-garde and so purposely experimental that I was kind of digging the whole vibe. Like, okay, there's zero plot to this thing. I get it. Fine, whatever. I'm cool with it. But then after that point, it just meanders in a way that bored me.
I think that's when, after he's killed the blonde chick, and they untied each other with the rope with their mouths. So there was the whipping scene, and then he sends her to the girl to have the bathtub dildo scene where he kills her, the chick with the dildo.
Yeah.
He sends her there to do that. She doesn't know that. She splits and goes back and confronts him about it and says she wants more money. And he's like, I'm going to pay you 500. She's like, no, I want 5,000. And he's like, go do your show. So Stella, who obviously has no conscience and isn't so worried about the fact that she just fucked a chick to death with a razor dildo, goes and has that bondage, the untying each other with the rope scene. And he's poisoned their underpants, their G-strings, so that they would mix with their secretions. So they both die on stage from poison.
And mini Steve Buscemi comes out as the bellhop.
No, he was a cop.
Was he a cop?
Yeah. Mini Steve Buscemi was a cop. So that's what that happens. And then from that point on is when he starts to go, because he's killed all those women who work for him and who also love women, because he doesn't, he gets pissed. You like women, don't you? Yeah, you like women. So he kills, because his ex-wife did. So he kills all of them. And so then it goes to him specifically going after Steve's fiance, Paula.
Another movie with a Paula in it.
Paula number 3, smell of honey, swallow of brine, black boots, whip of leather. And now this one has a Paula. But what really, really creeped me out was my brother's name is Steve. And so they have a couple named Steve and Paula in this. And on top of the fact that incest is gross, I fucking hate my brother. But anyway. So
Paula is very triggered, listeners.
No, I'm good. Yeah, triggered, gone. Okay. But no, so another Paula, poor Paula. And so they're going to get married. And somehow Jennings, gets a hold of her, confronts her somewhere saying he won't marry you unless you're a virgin. I can help you with that. And so he's going to send her to some kind of a doctor that will reattach her virginity so that Steve will marry her. And then you get the 6 months later thing, right?
It's like as Shannon said in the rabbit room, it's a SpongeBob SquarePants. 6 months
They just wrote it on a chalkboard and put it up in front of the camera 6 months later, and we see Steve and Paula make love, and it's all gauzy, filmy, black and white, and it looks like they put
that on for fucking ever.
Yeah, it does. It goes on forever. It's a very long scene, and they've got all the Vaseline around the edges, so it's all kind of like they're doing little funky things, and they're making love, right? Yeah. And then they're done, and there's a knock at the door. And someone has brought them a package. And of course, in their motel room, they just happen to have a reel-to-reel projector like you do, right?
Every motel room has.
Every motel has a reel-to-reel projector. And so they put it on. And what we see at the very beginning is, again, written in black on white something. Was it Squash Hungry?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Squash Hungry. So we were all like, okay. And coming on screen is a young woman who goes to the refrigerator, who looks remarkably like Paula. I don't know how he did this, because they were talking about getting Jennings out of their life, and is he done? Yep. They were all worried as to whether he was going to be gone, and so they thought they were rid of him 6 months later. And then no, here we go. How could he do this? He got someone who looks just like me to make this, and she reaches into the fridge and picks out a massive butternut squash.
Yeah, so we find out that Steve is an absolute idiot.
Yeah,
that can't figure that this is her immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's telling him it's not. It obviously is. And so she's in this porno with this movie, but the man comes in. She goes and strips and she lays down. And then a masked man, could have been Blade, we don't know.
Wow, shots fired right off the bat here on Podcast at Orgy Castle.
No. He wasn't even born yet. It was another masked sex machine. Comes in, a dude basically with a black bag over his face. They kind of fool around, and then you see this hand reach for this squash, and then you just see this. It reminded me so much of the daikon radish in Flour in the snake movies. It's like, wow, gourds and root vegetables as dildos. But yeah, and so you just see this hand with the squash going back and forth, and her going. You never see penetration, of course, because we don't do penetration.
You don't need to. You know what the fuck's going on.
You can picture this massive butternut squash neck, and they didn't even take the stem off. I mean, come on, bitches. But so yeah, so then there's that, and he, they quit talking for a while because over part of it they're talking, and she's still trying to give in, saying, "This isn't me. This isn't me. I would never do something like this. He just got someone who looks exactly like me." And and he finally's like, "Okay, I believe you. I believe you." And then at the end, he doesn't, and he's completely grossed out by her, and he ends
because there's a scene right after that where it's the doctor.
Oh yeah,
when it filmed the doctor reconstructing her vagina.
Yeah, she tells him to turn it off, and he's like, "No, this could be important." And so yeah, it goes on to like her with a dirty towel over her, and her believing that this guy's a doctor who's going to reconstruct her hymen. And they just show that metal tool going in. It's like, oh, there was a lot of vagina violence in this one.
This movie was much more mean-spirited.
Very much more mean-spirited, very much more misogynistic, but some of the female characters in it were spunky. Like fucking the chick that played Stella, I thought she was spunky as fuck. So there were some great, strong female characters, but Jennings is insane. And much like, if you watch No Country for Old Men, regardless of how fucking tough of an hombre or mujer you are, you cannot go up against a psychopath and win. And that's pretty much what this story was. Sort of. It was just him going out and killing them who pissed him off. But he's crazy. And despite how tough the girls were, they were no match for him. And so there was a lot of vaginal violence, a lot more S&M. But
and then the very end becomes almost like a Benny Hill routine where
Steve kills Paula with this real similar gun to what Michael allegedly Jennings was allegedly killed with in the first one. That big spear gun. Mm-hmm. So he kills Paula with the spear gun, and then in the corner behind a screen, guess who's there? Jennings. And I've been wanting to cut your dick off since I first saw you fucking my wife. And so they started chase out the door, and Jennings has a machete. So he's been hiding in the corner of the room the whole time while they're watching the movie and having the conversation and the blood and the spear gun and everything. And the screen comes down, boogeyman in the corner, and this chase starts and chases him down the street. Steve jumps onto a big long bed wooden truck, which they do some great shots out of that.
And then they proceed to have a wrestling match in the back of this truck.
Yes, they do. They have a wrestling match in the back of the truck. Each of them is trying to get the machete, and he just wants to cut his dick off. That's been his whole point since forever, is he wants to cut his dick off. And they wrestle as the cars are going. And then finally, Finley
he's successful.
He's successful, and one of the ends is you see him with his back turned with a guy and mutilating his dick, and then it throws up the screens again. Has Jennings' lust for blood been slaked? Will he kill again? Well, yeah, because there's a third one. So fuck yeah. That was a trip. I can't decide if I need a drink or not after that one.
The whole end section where they're, the Benny Hill Stone Cold Stunner section where they're wrestling in the back of this
he grabs a hold of the thing and like kicks him. Boom, like that.
It is so fucking hokey. It's so fucking ridiculously dumb that you gotta just laugh at it, especially when he's supposedly chopping his dick off and he's kneeling and there's obviously no one underneath him, and it's clear as day that
they stabbing from the side when he first does it in his chest, and you can see that it's definitely on the side of the body.
Yep, and they're pulling punches and they're pulling kicks on everything when they're hitting each other. It
was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Terrible. Yeah. It's just terrible. So the movie ends with a couple of title cards, as you had said, and saying, we're gonna make another one,
letting us know, third one coming to this theater soon.
So that's the Curse of Her Flesh. Let's get to the Jackalmans on this, Paula. It seems like you actually really liked this one.
I did. It was nuts. My heart's still pounding from this one. This one was just fucking crazy. It was absolutely insane. And it pulled me along the whole fucking time. The women in it, some of the women's performances were really great. Like I said, the chick Stella, she kept me going for a good 20 minutes because I was just like this with her the whole time because I was really enjoying everything that she was doing. Michael Finley's a nut job. The music was amazing.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
agree
there
with
was a
that.
lot of really great, just fucking crazy jazz, and there was some surf guitar. It was very, very beatnik.
Mhm.
Very, very, very
Yeah.
beatnik. And you could, the opening scene, the butt crack chick.
Oh, yeah, there was this one dancer who constantly was
She
playing with
she
her
never
butt
got
crack.
she never got killed. She was never a murder victim, but I guess they got her in there to kind of pad, because they opened with her and she had that great big black beehive hairdo and those Spock eyebrows and that
And was
crazy
putting her
eyeliner.
boobs over the top of the
Yes,
seat.
doing some of the worst striptease and some of the just air humping and like just getting her legs up and just like fucking the air.
There was a
And
4-minute ear humping
yeah,
scene.
yeah, there were. I think she was just kind of in there to pad, but she was just that was one of the weirdest strip teases I've ever seen. Her putting her boobs on the chair, and then the second when she just comes back out of nowhere for no reason and she gets on the floor. And yeah, again, she's like playing with her butt, and you were talking about how you were thinking about pink flamingos.
Well, the music sounded like stuff that would be in Pink
Oh,
Flamingos.
no, it
And then
was.
she's playing with her butt. I was imagining the butthole guy in Pink Flamingos.
I knew exactly where you were going with that. And it had that great kind of like racy strip, like dirty, grindy music going on. And
Mhm.
but the look on her face the whole time was definitely not in keeping with what was going on with the rest of her body. A lot of these women, and I think that's one of the things that was so gripping about Stella, is either these other women can't act or they're so detached from what they were doing by this point in their careers, that when you do see someone like the chick who played Stella being so engaged and giving so much, it kind of has a contrast to some of these other chicks who look bored as fuck with what they're doing. They're
Right.
they're pros. I do this 7 times a day,
Yeah.
5 days a week for money.
Yeah.
It's lost its luster. So, but I mean, these women were definitely, you could tell that they were realistic sex workers from Times Square. And some of them, like I said, some of them did great, some of them sucked, but it was always a trippy show. And the way that it was edited together, and a lot of the shots, regardless of whether or not Roberta was behind those, and I believe she was too. You can't lie to me, Roberta Finley. It was just so weird. It was just so fucking weird. The squash thing, the squash thing, for fuck's sake, the pussy thing, the toe thing. There was just so much more just weird off-kilter strangeness in this one,
Sure.
accompanied by crazy jazz soundtrack and the funky editing and some of the weird effects. It was just a trippy fucking movie.
What are you giving it?
I'm gonna give it 4. I wasn't bored at any time. I really enjoyed it. And once I figured out what the hell was going on, I was like, okay, I got this. And I could just let myself be absorbed by Finley's craziness, Stella's amazingness. How is this person going to die? Oh my God, look, it's her butt crack again. I was never bored. It wasn't, it wasn't like a five Jackalman, like the original one that was just such a tight little fucking movie. But it definitely, as a sequel, had its charms to me. And so I enjoyed it, and I would definitely give it 4 out of 5 Jackalmans. I'd watch this again.
Wow. I would agree that it's a movie that has charms to it. I do like the perversity of it. Unfortunately for me, after the first movie, with it being this really overwhelmingly like tight and concise and to the point movie, this felt like a fucking mess. And I got to say, none of it was particularly sexy to me. The women were sexy, but nothing about it was particularly sexy to me. And the vast majority of it is, again, strip teases and dances. And they are awkward and weird, and they don't really go anywhere. The only one that really did anything for me was the whipping sequence, because those two women were so gorgeous.
Yeah, you like that whipping sequence.
Oh, they were so gorgeous.
Just grab it and put it on a loop.
The best scene in the movie, easily the best scene in the movie. And then it just kind of meanders all over the place. I like movies that are experimental and break in form, but unlike you, Paula, I gotta say, I was bored through a lot of this movie.
Okay.
It just didn't really do much for me. So compared to the first one, oh man, this was a big step down for me. Like, I liked the music, and I liked the weirdness, and of course, I liked Michael Finley being a complete and utter fucking goober.
Yeah, you know how much I love bonkers movies. I love bonkers movies, and this definitely to me had the element of it was like he wasn't even trying to like match the first one.
No, he wasn't trying to do anything. I think he was just throwing shit at the wall, and he didn't really
Yeah.
care what it was. So, I mean, if that's your bag, I mean, sure. This is definitely on the weirdo scale up there. But after watching the first one, man, this is just a huge step down for me. I think I'm only going to give this 2.5 Jackalmans.
Okay.
I was way disappointed in this, way
Oh.
disappointed.
Oh,
And by the
I'm
end of it, I was
sorry.
kind of excited for it to be done, to be honest. And now I'm hoping that the third one picks up a little bit for me, but maybe it's just the mood I'm in today. I don't know. Oh man.
If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Yeah, it just didn't do much for me, but I got to say, the whole bathroom stall intro credit sequence
Oh
was
my God.
fucking brilliant.
It was fantastic. The opening with the weird chick with the tits on the chair and the strange strip tease, and then that bathroom stall opening credits with the whole sound of pissing the entire fucking time.
Jesus Christ, it was
That
something.
was just fucking dirty. That was raunchy. That was gross. I thought it was genius.
I agree.
I
So
thought it was genius.
Yep. So your enjoyment of this is going to vary. If you're like Paula and love the experimentation, you're gonna jump all over this. But if you're like me and we're kind of expecting a little something else, you might not get into this so much. So we're split. I think this is the first real
No, we've had others.
Oh, Lolita vibrator torture. We
were split on Lolita vibrator torture. So there've been others that we've done. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Curse of Her Flesh. We have one more of these movies to go, but right now we're going to break to Angelique Bone, and she's going to talk more novel smut with us on the book club at Orgy Castle. So we'll be right back.
Get it, Bone.
Hi, welcome back to Book Club at Orgy Castle. It's your host, Angelique. Hi. And this evening we will be discussing book 2 in the Career Girl series by Monica Nolan. This one is titled Maxine Mainwaring, Lesbian Dilettante. Okay. You don't see many dilettantes anymore, but basically she's a society girl, comes from old money, and her mother is very concerned because she's not comporting herself as a lady of her standing should. She also can't keep her kitty in the carrier, if you know what I mean. She scandalizes her mother and the president of the, what's it called? They call it the DAP, Daughters of the American Pioneers. They have a spring tea, a high fancy tea, formal thing. And she ends up making out with an heiress named Elaine Ellman. Get that alliteration, guys? Yeah, it's going to come into play. They get caught necking. And Maxine's mom puts down an ultimatum. Either you move out of your trashy apartment and you come live with me and get yourself straight, literally, or you're cut off. No more trust, no more allowance. Well, Maxine doesn't keep an eye on her spending and she's out of money. So she's like, nobody's the boss of me. And runs to her girlfriend's apartment where she kind of pretend plays at being a housewife. But she's too much of a lush and likes to live the high life. So she gets drunk and eats all the cheese and crackers in the house, which makes her girlfriend, Pamela Pendergrast, alliteration, makes her a little upset. And she comes clean about her mom cutting her off. Pamela suggests a few jobs because Maxie doesn't have a whole lot of skills. You know, she kind of flits here and there and does what she do. Well, she thinks that the jobs that Pamela is suggesting are beneath her. So they have kind of a little tiff. And then Pamela says, well, you never did tell me why your mom cut you off anyway. So she has to confess that she was making out with Elaine, which sets Pamela off because apparently she's done this before and has been forgiven. And tries to lay down the law, you know, if you're going to be living with me and be with me, you have to be with me. And again, Maxie's like, oh, you're not the boss, but yeah, you look just like my mother, me, and runs out of the house with the last $2. Well, she goes to her apartment, but she's worried about running into the landlady, runs into her friend, Lois Lynn's. And they decide to go to the bar Francine's, where they meet up with a bunch of other people. And one of which is someone we'll be getting to know in book 4. Her name is, where is it? Dolly Dingle. Right? I know, it's ridiculous. Anyway, well, they all sit around and natter and try to suggest things that Maxie could do to make some money so she can pay her rent, so she can keep her apartment. But it's all no, 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 blah, blah, blah. Well, coincidentally, the vocation guidance counselor basically is sitting at the bar. So she makes her give her this aptitude test, even though they've been drinking. And she takes it and, you know, she aces it or whatever. She's got a perfect personality for just about any job. Ah. And then the bar gets shook down. A cop comes in, says that there's been reports of women dancing together and being lewd and lascivious. Ooh. Well, Toby, the bartender, she's like, no, everybody's just kind of sitting here having a beer. But the cop's like, yeah, we're going to keep an eye on you. Well, at that point, everybody panics and leaves. Maxie happens to be wandering down the street, and she passes an alley where she sees the cop getting a payoff by some kid. So she decides to be an investigative reporter all of a sudden. Who knows? And she goes after, and turns out the kid is actually a chick who might have some ulterior motive to get Francine's bar shut down. Despite how exciting that sounded, you know, I try to be positive here. This is some really smutless smut. There was no action except for the makeout section in the first few pages. This book is very much a product of its time. There's some, you know, a little bit of weird racial language and a lot of feminist, you know, talk, and a lot of dealing with concealing the fact that all of these women are lesbians. Hopefully it'll get more titillating, but I don't know. We'll see. So I'm just kind of crossing my fingers here and hoping that things perk up. So we will find out in the shocking conclusion to Maxie Mainwaring, lesbian dilettante, on our next episode. I do have a slight correction. I did mispronounce the author of Satan Was a Lesbian. Her last name is Roberts, not Robbins. So Monica Roberts wrote under Fred Healy for Satan Was a Lesbian. This woman comes straight out and writes it. So she's got a whole series. With it being a series, again, I'm not sure exactly how much smut we're going to really get, but we'll find out. Until next time, bye.
Oh boy.
So you've been hard at work this week.
Yes, I guess you could say so.
Yeah.
Listeners, if you aren't aware, we just started a new Facebook page for the podcast, mostly just to keep everybody up to date with what's going on with the show. I know we do a lot on the Patreon page to let people know what the upcoming episodes are, and they get, you know, sneak peeks of what's going to happen and all this stuff. But now I decided, just because we're starting to pick up steam here and there's more people jumping in and enjoying the show.
Thank you.
To put some time into a Facebook page. So go over to facebook.com and like you don't know what the fuck that is. And search up podcast at Orgy Castle. And there's a page there where you can get video clips from our video versions of the podcast, which are exclusive to our Patreon page. And you can get kind of a taste for that stuff. You get a schedule of each of our podcasts that we're going to be doing a month in advance. And we're going to, I guess you and I are going to kind of put out some little
Content.
factoids and the
Yeah.
research for
Yeah.
you people that want to find out a little bit more about the movies we're talking about.
Absolutely. You put some real great stuff up there this week about the Finleys and that link to the Rialto report on Roberta Finley. Seriously, if you're interested in this stuff at all, go check her out. She's a trip. She was a pioneering woman who kind of fell into what she was doing. So she says. I wonder if she was much less naive,
enthusiastic about this.
I wonder if she's much less naive than she's playing off. You know, being a woman who started working in porn in the 50s and then in the 60s and stuff like that, and made it. That wasn't something women did. It was her and like Doris Wishman and stigmatized. Yeah. And then she went on and did fucking Snuff with, Shackleton, all the porn and stuff that she did. Again, John Holmes, 3 minute.
Right.
On camera. But I don't know. I'm wondering, because she's a savvy woman. So I'm wondering what she's trying to hide and what she's trying to,
You do you, Roberta Finley. But the sound of your voice kind of convinced me that you were a part of these movies.
you had something to do with it somewhere, and I'm forever grateful because I love these movies. I do. I do. I love that these were made. I love that these were going on at a time when this was kind of around the time when movies were starting to revolutionize, and you had Midnight Cowboy and X-rated movies and stuff. And then hardcore, but this was really subversive stuff. I mean,
it definitely and it still is.
Yeah, it's still subversive stuff, and the fact that there was a woman out there making that kind of thing. God, I wish everybody would vote for Doris Wishman and Ted instead of Ted B. Michaels, but nobody listens to me and nobody cares. But that's okay.
Okay, you're referring to on all the gimmicks group, which if you want to sit and talk to us one-on-one or with the rest of the sickos that listen to our podcast, you can go over the all the gimmicks group on Facebook, and we'll sit and get down to brass tacks about a lot of weird shit. And I put a vote up for my other podcast, Astro Radio Z. We cover certain directors every single year, and nobody wanted us to cover Doris Wishman for some unknown reason. But regardless of that fact, go to Facebook and go give our page, Podcast at Orgy Castle, a like, and get more woke on these movies, as the kids say.
As the kids say, as they say in the biz.
As they say in the biz. There should be no reason I ever use the word woke, ever.
Why?
Just look at me, Paula.
Oh, yeah, you're a white dude from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Okay.
With gray hair. There's no reason why this dude should be saying woke whatsoever. So anyways, till next week, where we're going to be talking about Ilsa, harem keeper of the oil chiefs.
Oh, the fluffy one, yeah.
Hey, Bella, Paula, any parting words for the listeners?
Oh, my God, Diane Thorne. Oh, God, I'd be a harem girl for her any day. That bitch makes me squash hungry.
Satan is the name she goes by. There's a lot of devil in her eye. Kiss a fire that burns you well. She breaks your heart and it hurts like words can't tell.